We're going to begin by making 10 cast on stitches. So go ahead and make a slip knot by making a loop, pulling your yarn through, putting it on your needle with the tail end of the yarn towards you and the working end of the yarn away from you. Tighten that down. And you're going to put the working end of the yarn over your index finger and your thumb against the tail end of the yarn. Hold it together with your ring and your pinky finger and spread them apart, making a diamond. Then you're going to, with your thumb, pull the yarn back away from the needle, bringing the needle in front, down, and into the hole there. Grab a hold of your working end of the yarn and pull it through. Tighten it down. Pull the yarn back with your thumb, bringing your needle in front, through the hole. Grab the yarn and pull it through. Pull the yarn away, needle towards you, through the hole, picking up the yarn and pulling it through. We'll do that again until we have 10 cast on stitches. So we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we have our 10 cast on stitches. Now that we've cast on our 10 stitches, we are going to go into knitting them. So we will turn our needle around, pick up our other needle, and begin knitting. So you will take your yarn and you wrap it around your pinky as an anchor and slide your needle through the first stitch like this. Lift it up with your index finger, wrap it around there for some stability as well. And then you will wrap it around the back of the needle and you will pull the right needle through and then slip it off of the left needle. You will slide it through, wrap this around the back, and pull it through to the front, sliding it off of the left needle. And again, slide it through the back, wrap your yarn around, and pull it through to the front, sliding it off of the needle. You might have to readjust how you're holding your yarn in your right hand. Wrap it around, bring it forward, slip it off. You can do that for all 10 of your cast on stitches. And this will be your first row of knitting. Sometimes you don't always get it through the whole yarn, so just take the needle out and try to poke it through again. And that is your first row right there. Now if we want to do a stockinette stitch, we're going to have to purl on this side. Purling is a little bit different, but you're going to hold the yarn the same. You'll take your needle, instead of going in on the left side, you're going to come through from the right side and in front of the needle. You're going to take the yarn and you are going to wrap it around the front of the needle and pull it down and back, then sliding the stitch off of the left needle. You'll poke it through the front, take your yarn, wrap it around the front, slide it down, and using your thumb so as not to lose the yarn that's on there, slide it to the back and lift it off. Slide it through the front, wrap it around, protect it with your thumb to the back, and lift it off. Wrap it around, slide it down, and lift it off. And then you'll have a stockinette stitch on the front. You do have to adjust how you're holding your yarn kind of all of the time. Okay? And then we have a stockinette stitch, and then we'll go into knitting it again. Slide it through towards the back this time, wrap it around, bring it to the front, and slide it off. Wrap it around, slide it off. And you're going to do this knitting on the front side and purling on the back side about 2 more times each, and then we will cast off our sample yarn from there. Now we're going to bind off our sample yarn in pattern, and that means that this is a stockinette stitch, and we're going to bind it off using in the stockinette stitch. So we will first start by knitting our first stitch, pulling it off, and then we're going to knit our second stitch and pull it off, and then with the left needle you're going to go into that first stitch, slide it under, pick it up, and very carefully bring it to the tip of your needle and pass it over the second stitch. You want to use your index finger to anchor it down. So you have passed it over, and you take your left needle out, and you have bound off 1 stitch. And you go to the next one, knit it, slide it off, go to the first stitch, slide your needle underneath it, slide your needle into it, lift it up, pull it over the second stitch. And again, using your index finger to kind of hold it on there so it doesn't slide off. And pass it over. Knit, get your needle under that stitch, slide it over and off. And now you're binding off the stitches 1 at a time. Slide it under and pull it over the stitch and tighten it down. And keep doing that until you have bound off all of your stitches. Now when they say to bind off in pattern, it means that sometimes you might end with a purl row, and so you'll have to bind it off in a purl pattern. That'll be a show for another time. Keep binding them off until they're done, and they are all off of your needle. And then you'll get to a point where you only have 1 left, and that's this one. So what you'll do then is you will break the yarn, carefully slide your needle out, and you can use a crochet hook for this too to grab it if you like, and you will pull the yarn through, creating a knot, and tighten it down. And there you have your little sample yarn. Now, continental knitting or picking is the same, but you hold the yarn a little bit differently. So you're going to put it on your left hand, anchor it onto your pinky, and hold it up with your index finger. You're going to put the needle through the first stitch, grab your working yarn, and pull it through the first stitch, lifting it off of the needle. At this point, you want to anchor it down with the index finger of your right hand. And knit, pull it through. Go through the needle to the back, grab onto the working yarn, and help it through with your middle finger and lift it off of the needle. I am not a continental knitter, but I don't think I'm doing too poorly here. So I'm going to put it through, grab hold, and lift it off. You use your other fingers to help anchor it down so the yarn doesn't slip off the needle unintentionally. Okay, and you have that. There you have stockinette. I am not sure how to purl continental, but that is the knitting portion of it. Okay, now I'll demonstrate binding off in the continental knitting method. So you want to knit the first stitch and pull that through and off, and then you want to knit the second stitch through and off. Then you're going to take your left needle, you're going to insert it into the first stitch, and you're going to lift it off and over. And then you will go to the second one, and you will knit the stitch, get it off, go to the first stitch, lift it, and pull it over the second stitch. And you're going to do that until you get to the end of your row. Now, if you are a natural continental knitter, you'll be able to do this, no problem, but this is the idea of binding off, where you just knit and then constantly lift the first stitch over the stitch that you just knit. And you'll keep doing this until you run out of stitches to bind off. And over and knit and and over and knit and bring it over, and last one here, knit, bring it over, and now you're left with one stitch. Put your needle down, break your yarn, and you are going to pull the tail through the loop to secure it, and then you have your bound off sample.